I'm here at my alma mater, Biola University, about to interview David Kinnamen of the unCHRISTIAN Project. His website's www.unCHRISTIAN.com, and I'm really excited to hear what he has to say. So you're the president of the Barna Group,
Right.
which is a research think tank company?
Yeah, we do polling and we do
Okay.
research and try to understand what do Americans believe, and we try to understand the intersection of faith and culture.
Okay.
So how do Americans live their faith? And rather than just saying, are you a Christian, we ask a lot of questions that dig into what their faith is like.
Okay.
And so that we can understand the culture better from a spiritual perspective.
If you had to pick like one or two facts or stats that you were like, this is crazy, what would they be?
We have hundreds of questions that we've asked people about faith. I mean, it gets kind of boring and I'm kind of a nerd, but it's pretty interesting. It's all right.
Yeah, it's all right.
Being a nerd is not overrated.
Yeah, no.
I'm trying to bring nerdy back.
You're bringing nerdy back. Okay.
So to me, one of the really fascinating pieces of data that we collected was we asked people, do you believe that the story of the resurrection of Christ is literally true, or is it just a story meant to illustrate a broader principle? And what would you think the percent of Americans think that the story of Christ's resurrection from the dead is literally true?
Of Americans?
Percent of American adults.
I'm gonna go with 80%.
74%.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so to me, I mean, that's the central story of Christianity.
Right. That
And-
they are believing is true.
Yeah, and I mean, we could be critical of the fact that, well, they don't really know what they mean, and actually a lot of the research shows they think that Jesus sinned, and they think that, all sorts of crazy things about him, but they still believe that he resurrected from the dead. And so I think if we could recapture the imagination of how the resurrection affects our life, and like why that makes a difference in the kinds of work that we do, whether we're on television, whether we're a writer, whether we're a researcher, whether we're a doctor, whether we're a lawyer, whether we're a mom, a dad, the power of the resurrection, the power of that story is pretty huge. And so if we're going to be a Christian and believe that story, we ought to be living up to what that means to us.
That's awesome. Well, it sounds like you're doing a lot of work to connect the dots
I'm trying to.
between that belief and the living it and the heart.
Yeah.
So.
And in my heart, in my own life too.
Yeah.
We could talk about it, and I'm an expert and all the rest, but just like realizing how easy it is to get on that path of going through the motions of religion rather than actually following your faith in a really deep way.
That's awesome. Well, the book's called unCHRISTIAN, and you can visit David's website at www.unchristian.com. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Marcy.
This has been the Marcy Minute. I will see you guys soon.